U.S. Attorney General Alberto Gonzales today defended the prosecution of former Border Patrol agents Ignacio Ramos and Jose Campion. Incredibly, Gonzales claims the agents had the opportunity to present the facts of their case to a jury. But as Casey Wyan reports, the jury never heard all of those facts.
U.S. Attorney General Alberto Gonzales says he supports the Border Patrol.
Let me just say, border agents, they do a tremendous job for the American people, securing our borders under very difficult circumstances, and they should be applauded.
But apparently not these Border Patrol agents. Ignacio Ramos and Jose Campion were prosecuted by the Justice Department for shooting and wounding Oscar Aldrete Davila, an illegal alien Mexican drug smuggler. Aldrete Davila was given immunity by a Gonzales subordinate, Texas U.S. Attorney Johnny Sutton, to testify against the agents.
I have a great deal of confidence in the federal prosecutor that handled this case, Johnny Sutton, who worked with Governor Bush back in our days in Texas.
Congressman Ted Poe is a former Texas judge.
It's always a truism at the courthouse when the prosecution makes deals with criminals. Their testimony is suspect.
Sutton's prosecutors prevented the jury from hearing evidence that Aldrete Davila had a history of drug smuggling, evidence that could have damaged the credibility of the prosecution's key witness against the agents.
Sutton chose to disregard the information despite the evidence provided by the DEA. Sutton's continuous attempts to paint a benign picture of the drug smuggler is not only disingenuous, but it amounts to misleading the jury and the public.
There's a lot out there, a lot of misinformation out there about what happened in this particular case, but the agents had the opportunity to present the facts to a jury in Texas, and the jury concluded that, in fact, these two agents broke the law. And people in law enforcement who break the law should be held accountable. No question about it, and that's what's happening here.
Gonzales refused to take follow-up questions on why his prosecutors kept key information from the jury, including Aldrete Davila's drug smuggling history, escalating violence on the Mexican border, and other evidence that could have helped exonerate agents Ramos and Campion. Congressman Duncan Hunter's bill to pardon the agents now has 90 co-sponsors, including 4 Democrats. The latest Democrat to sign on this week is Lincoln Davis of Tennessee. Kitty?
So that effort is gaining momentum, Casey.
It absolutely is gaining momentum. There's a lot more pressure from many members of Congress to hold hearings to investigate the many questions in this case. Senator Dianne Feinstein on the Senate side of California, another Democrat, wants to hold hearings on this case. We don't have a date yet, but her office says those hearings will come.
Thanks very much, Casey Wyan. Opponents of a proposed superhighway from the Mexican border through Texas today held a major protest. Now, the highway would speed trucks from Mexico into the heart of this country. Critics say it's a threat to our national security. It's part of a plan for a North American integration being carried out by government and corporate elites without congressional or voter approval. And as Lisa Sylvester reports, Texans aren't giving up without a fight.
Not a sight you see every day. Farm tractors rolling down the streets of Austin to the Texas Capitol. A diverse coalition marched opposing the Trans-Texas Corridor.
They're selling out our infrastructure, and it's really about a part of the NAFTA superhighway, creating Mexico, the United States, and Canada. It's the first piece.
The proposed Trans-Texas Corridor would be a patchwork of superhighways and railroads stretching 4,000 miles from the border of Mexico, cutting through Texas to Oklahoma.
We'll lose control of public infrastructure. We will continue a trend of losing transparency and accountability in government. I think it will set a tone that we'll all come to regret.
The Texas Transportation Department says the corridor will improve mobility and safety, create jobs for Texans, and inject billions of dollars into the state's economy. But at a hearing, there were loud complaints from residents. State lawmakers looking at other toll projects like the Chicago Skyway and the Holland Tunnel worry that their tolls would increase to a staggering level based on contract formulas.
You're looking in this situation, if you had a 1927 toll at 1, you get to $185. I think many of us at this table would not be elected if we let that happen.
Lawmakers also expressed concern over another road project. A lease has been signed that would make Texas Highway 121 a toll road. A private Spanish company won the bid to build and collect the tolls for the next 50 years. These deals with private companies are being negotiated largely in secret, and many state lawmakers are worried taxpayers are being sold down the road.
In 2003, the state Senate gave the Texas Transportation Commission the authority to enter into these agreements with private contractors. Now, some state lawmakers believe they gave up too much authority. One bill proposed calls for a 2-year moratorium on these new toll roads. Kitty?
Thanks very much, Lisa Sylvester. And that brings us to the subject of tonight's poll. Should foreign companies be allowed to control vital transportation infrastructure in this country? Yes or no? Cast your vote at LouDobbs.com. We'll bring you the results later in the broadcast. Even today, highways are the primary way drugs are smuggled into this country from Mexico. The State Department's International Narcotics Report says legitimate commercial traffic provides ample opportunity for smugglers to move drugs across our borders. Coming up, the war within. Marijuana, by far the most abused drug in America. Today it is even more potent than ever. We'll have a special report. U.S. policies